Dr. Raghunath Anant Mashelkar, one of India's most eminent and revered scientists, known for his statesmanship in shaping the India's course of action in the progress of science, technology, and engineering. Dr. Mashelkar is one of the most decorated scientists and engineer and has achieved unparalleled success in his 55 years of professional life. In fact, he is a crusader, having championed the cause on several fronts, be it taking the big bull by its horn and setting the score in India's favor in case of turmeric and basmati rice. This is basically which comes under the TKDR. Dr. Mashelkar's life saga is an inspiration to many. No other story can compare. No other story can compare to his rise from the adverse condition, facing valiantly trials, tribulations, and at times trepidations. And not only he steered himself as a commander-in-chief, but also dreamt of putting India on the global map as a leading powerhouse of intellectual human capital of India. For his stellar role, several awards followed in his journey, notably the three of the highest civilian awards. All of you know Padma Shri, Padma Vibhushan, and Padma Bhushan he was awarded. So, ladies and gentlemen, here is a man in flesh and blood. You all are eager to listen to his speech on education, research, innovations for nation building. Thank you. Welcome, sir.
Thank
you. The floor is yours.
So thank you very much indeed. It's a great honor, great privilege to give this inaugural talk. First of all, I must say that we talk about Make in India, but Make in India will be sustainable only when it is invented in India and made in India, not just assembled in India. And we require technopreneurs for doing that. And Pramod Khosla ji, you are an iconic technopreneur, I must say. The imprint that you have created on world-class filter fabrics, the technical and performance fabrics is absolutely incredible. So we are very proud, and you have worked silently for 40 years and set a great example. I want to really show my appreciation for your life, your work, and the fact that you deemed it fit to create this very prestigious lecture series, oration series. So thank you very much indeed. Bhaskar, your dynamism is absolutely obvious. As Professor Pandit said, you hijack many things for good purpose, good for India. I must also say that our Bhubaneswar campus would not have started but for the vision of the Honorable Minister Shri Pradhan, who happens to be now the Education Minister. It is a coincidence. And the valiant efforts of Dr. G.D. Yadav and all of you who are working together, Bhaskar and Dr. Pandit giving the leadership. So it's a great pleasure. What I'm going to do in the next 40-45 minutes that have been given to me is to look through from my own, let us say, lens of life, education, research, and innovation, what I have experienced and what I've seen. So let me begin the lecture, first of all, by giving a pranam to my Guruji, Professor M.M. Sharma. Whatever I am today is because of him. He has been my guru, my guide, my friend, my philosopher. And very early in life, he gave me this message. It is the power of idea that matters and not power of budget. It is incredible. I remember being a PhD student with him with a contingency money of rupees 10,000 per year. And how we did research under those circumstances, it is absolutely incredible. I mean, he showed, for example, the power of ideas when he had the breakthrough on the liquid-liquid interfacial area by chemical technique in a beaker. That was a kind of a sort of breakthrough. You can just imagine, you take a beaker and create world-class research and breakthroughs. So he has been an exemplar for me, and I'm very proud that today in engineering science there have been 3 FRSs so far. Unfortunately, Professor Ruddam Narasimha is not there, and we are the only 2 in engineering science. And this has happened in my alma mater, ICT, and I feel extraordinarily proud. So I begin with that. I begin by again getting back to education. So there was a discussion on what is the most powerful equation ever. And somebody said, of course, Newton's second law, force equal to mass into acceleration. Somebody said, no, it is Einstein E equal to mc square. And then I was sitting quiet and somebody said, what is it according to you? And I said, no, none of these. It is actually E equal to F. And people wondered, what is E equal to F? I said, that is education equal to future. And you can see the importance being realized by this poor lady. And, what she's doing is dressing her daughter up so that she can go to school. All right. So education builds the future. Now, it is good for a scientist to start with an equation, but then you have to prove the equation. So I'll prove it to you. I think the proof came on 17 March 2000. There have been many proofs, but this is a very interesting proof. What happened on that day was Rashtrapati Bhavan, late President K.R. Narayanan gave the Padma Awards, gave away the Padma Awards. I received one, and Ratan Tata received one. You would say, but then how does it prove that E equal to F? It's interesting that K.R. Narayanan was born in a very poor family. He walked several kilometers to go to his school, and his parents were so poor that they could not afford the tuition fee. So he would stand outside the class and take notes. And then he got a break in his life. He got a Tata scholarship to study further and went on to become the president. My story is one where I was born in a very poor family in a village called Mashel. My mother was illiterate. She brought me to Mumbai. She did menial work to bring me up. 2 meals a day was a challenge. I walked barefoot until I was 12, studied under street lights. I was going to leave education after 11th standard and do some night school and do the work during the day, but I got Tata scholarship. So anyway, I'll sort of repeat what I said very quickly. I began by paying my tributes to my guru, Professor M.M. Sharma, as you can see. And if you heard me, whatever I am today is because of him. He has been my guru, guide, friend, and philosopher. And having said that, I want to begin with the sort of main topic, which is education. I actually recall the discussion on what is the most powerful equation ever, and somebody said it is Newton's second law. Somebody said it is Einstein's E equal to mc square. And I was sitting quiet and I said, no, none of these. It is actually equal to F. Education is the future. And then I wanted to show that the importance of this is quite clearly seen by this lady who, as you can see, despite her poverty, she realizes the future is in education and she is raising her child. Now you would say, all right, you have given an equation, you have to prove it. And I was trying to show you how that equation can be proved. This is on 17 March 2000, where K.R. Narayanan, the then president, gave Padma Awards. And his story itself is an interesting one. He was very poor, and his He used to walk several kilometers to go to the school, and actually uh, had sometimes in terms of the tuition fee not being afforded by the family, and he would stand outside the class and took notes. And he got a breakthrough in his life when he got this Tata scholarship and went on to become the president. And I was also born in a very poor family, walked barefoot until I was 12. My mother did menial work to bring me up, studied under street lights when I was young. And again, it was a Tata scholarship, which I, but the interesting part of it is that the same Tata scholar is actually honoring Ratan Tata with the Padma Bhushan. So this actually shows that education is future, because none of us would be here but for the opportunity to for education. Now the interesting part is that we are having what is called as a science 2.0, education 3.0, industry 4.0, and a new society 3.0. So education has changed dramatically. So has the way science is done, so has the industry, and so has the society. Now, what is education 3.0? You can see that education 1.0 was Gurukul, where one-on-one interaction by the student and the teacher. Education 2.0 was what we all learned. That was the assembly line approach, one teacher, 30 students, 60 students, 90 students, chalk and talk, and so on. Now, education 3.0 is very different, because here humanity's accumulated knowledge is now freely available on the internet, rich multi-format content, flipped classrooms, on-demand tutoring, P2P learning, and now information memorization and brute force recall is made irrelevant. And therefore, you can't use brain as a storage anymore. Brain has to become a sort of a processor. And what further challenges it has? So teachers themselves will have to change, because education 1.0, the teachers served as a source of knowledge, receiving, responding, regurgitating. Education 2.0, they were facilitators, communicating, contributing. But in education 3.0, they will have to be orchestrator. In fact, there will be students who will know far more than them. In fact, it is incredible that recently I had an 8-year-old young boy. His name is Dev Gurjar, who came, and his grandfather brought him to me. And he said, I don't know what to do with him. I said, why? Actually, that young boy engaged with me on coronavirus. He knew what is mutation. He understood what is spike protein. He actually could talk about mRNA. And then we went to DNA, and I had my photograph with Watson. Crick and Watson, as you know, won the Nobel Prize. I showed it to him. He recognized him. He also told me who did not get the Nobel Prize, along with Crick and Watson. You know, it's incredible. An 8-year-old boy, and I asked his father, "You're not a scientist. Your grandfather is not a scientist. How come?" He said, "Nothing. I just gave him access to Google. That's all." So Google became his guru. Please understand now. So this is a completely different word that we are basically talking about, and therefore we require a completely different way of education. Now, if digital is going to be the key, if access and connectivity is the key, then how do countries like India deal with the challenge? And we can see that it is sort of a big challenge. Last June, we had these disastrous headlines. Digital deprivation, Assam with no smartphone, 15-year-old student commits suicide after failing to attend online classes. And if you see the next one, the universal digital access should be added as the 18th Sustainable Development Goal, is what Jeffrey Sachs said last year when we had this UN Secretary General organized meeting where I also participated in a panel discussion. And we have seen that last June, there were a series of suicides. Punjab, class 11 student, Assam, 15-year-old student, Maharashtra in Satara, 15-year-old girl committing suicide, West Bengal, class 10 student. Kerala 16-year-old student, Karnataka 15-year-old student. These are realities. We have to understand the challenge of digital deprivation. And therefore, this Maharashtra State had created the NEP 2020 task force. I had the fortune of chairing it, and some of you who are present here were members of this particular committee. And the report has been submitted, and we have recommended that digital access for all students is a fundamental. It has to become sort of a universal right, and we have shown how to sort of proceed on. Now you would say, my goodness, we are such a great country. Can't we create something which is affordable in terms of hardware or devices? Yes, of course we did. India had a solution through what is called a computer in 2001. You know, normally we copy, we do reverse engineering, we are always following. No, in this case, we are ahead of the world. In fact, Bruce Sterling, the New York Times magazine said, the most significant innovation in computer technology in 2001 were not Apple's gleaming titanium PowerBook G4 or Microsoft Windows XP. It was a computer, a net-linked, radically simple, portable computer intended to bring the computer revolution to the third world. Did it bring the revolution? No. Why? It's a very crucial question. I remember when I was the DG of CSIR, I created this New Millennium Indian Technology Leadership Initiative, giving grand challenges. I'm a 10x guy, 10 times better, 10 times cheaper. And I had given this challenge in year 2000 to create not $2,000, but $200 laptop. Vinay Deshpande created it. And 10 May 2005, we launched it. Where is it? It doesn't exist. Why is that so? Look at Akash, for example, $35 tablet. It was launched. So bulk of the time we are seeing ministers showing these devices. But what happens finally? Does it go to the children or the students? No, it doesn't. So there is something serious to worry about. What went missing is what I like to call as a bold, innovative public procurement policy for and of innovation. For example, when a computer is born, you know, any other country, what they would do is to give, do what is called as a public procurement to support it. In a sense, supposing a computer was born, you will have some $10,000 devices purchased by the government, all right? And you get market feedback and improve the product, etc., and you sort of launch it. That policy doesn't sort of exist. And now we need sort of a different policy. And I remember creating this policy, innovative public procurement policy for fueling assured inclusive innovation. I will talk about it later for ICT-IOCB, where we have set up a complete groundwork on how such policies can help let us move forward. In Maharashtra State Innovation Society, by the way, of which we are a co-chairman, we have a new startup policy. And there we can give work orders. We have changed the tendering process. You know, when there is a young fellow, he's a startup. Startup itself means he's starting up. You can't ask a Sachin Tendulkar who scored a century at the age of 15, where is your 10-year experience before we get you into the test? No, it cannot be. So we have changed the processes in Maharashtra in terms of giving workflow, orders, and so on and so forth, and we need to do it across the country. I think the important part is education disseminates known knowledge, research converts knowledge, money into knowledge, and innovation converts knowledge into money. Bulk of our educational systems were focused on this. I'm very proud that ICT, UDCT, my UDCT, always did the other two things. That is doing research as well as innovation and converting knowledge into money. Now, India needs a new innovation agenda. I'm tired of following, by the way. I'm tired of copying. I'm tired of reverse engineering. We have to not just do a renovation, all right, taking some Western technology and then sort of fine-tuning it, but we have to do revolution. I'm tired of saying first in Shukravarpet, first in Pune, first in Maharashtra, first in India. Sorry, it has to be new to the world, not just to a company or a country. We have to create unprecedented cost performance features, not just marginal cost of feature improvements, all right, 10%, not 10%, 10x. entirely new products and services, not just tinkering with the existing ones. So we require a complete shift, I would say, in the way we do things. Now, I also say, and this is not my quote, this is my guru's quote, C.K. Prahlad. He says he believes in next practice, not best practice. You know, when you are copying best practice, you are copying somebody. You have to create your next practice where for others it will become sort of best practice. How do you do this transformation? It seems audacious, but we have to do it. And I here have the photograph of two alumni of ICT very proudly. I'm showing more and more alumni is here. First I showed Professor Sharma and myself. Now I show myself and Mukesh Ambani. Mukesh has created a Reliance Innovation Council, and I happen to be him. And his dictum is growth is life. And when Innovation Council was formed, we said innovation would be a way of life. And combine the two, you will get innovation-led growth. But now we are not saying innovation-led growth. We are saying innovation-led exponential growth. And you have seen how they are growing exponentially. And then we are saying not innovation-led exponential growth, because incremental innovation cannot give you that. It has to be disruptive. It has to be game-changing. So that's what we are trying to do. So one day I remember he and I were talking after a board meeting, and he said, Doc, we must leapfrog. I said, leapfrog, we are fine, but why does a frog leap? Let's think about it. Frog leaps because he's afraid of the competitors. Afraid of the predator, afraid of the enemy, and he jumps a few feet. Should we be jumping a few feet because we are scared of the competitor in a reactive way? Or should we pole vault? The size of the pole determines the size of your aspiration, how far you can go. And that is where this book, Leapfrogging to Pole Vaulting, basically came up in 2019, where we gave a completely different dimension to the way we should be doing things. But mind you, the most important part of it was creating the magic of radical yet sustainable transformation. It is not the just heroics of leapfrogging to pole vaulting, but more importantly that. And this got the Best Business Book of the Year award. We are very proud of that, 2019. So then within Reliance, we created these 100 pole vaulting innovation leaders who would not just leapfrog or pole vault. They will be given massive opportunities, growth initiatives, teach them the Reliance way of innovation, setting unreasonable goals, challenging conventional wisdom, getting ordinary people to do extraordinary things, suffering from divine discontent, even if there is adversity, convert it into an opportunity. As you have seen, Reliance has grown even during the pandemic, and most importantly, create exponential value through innovation and leadership. Now, if you just see, have they pole vaulted? You can see where India was in terms of the usage of mobile data, and see how they have jumped in the month of February. They did not, from 155th position, they did not leapfrog to 100. They pole vaulted to #1 position. And how did they do that? For example, for reaching 50 million users, the record was telephone 50 years, mobile took 12 years, YouTube took 4 years, Facebook took 3 years, Twitter took 2 years, and Reliance took 83 days. And there was innovation involved in that, by the way. All right. There was a workflow innovation, system delivery innovation, combining eKYC with Aadhaar and the rest of it. That's a record. And it was not just heroics, but if you see the picture before Jio and after Jio, it was $300 4G VoLTE phone, coming down to $23. Data per GB cost the cheapest in the world today, and voice was free. You know, we used to take pride in this missed call. Missed call is a jugaad. You're not paying, somebody else is paying. You don't have to now. You have this challenge. So this kind of disruptive, game-changing, pole vaulting relations is possible. So therefore, we now require, I think the appeal that I have in this talk is that we have been following, that's enough. We have been fast following, that is enough. Any new drug that comes anywhere in the world within 18 months, we'll copy it. We're the fastest, that's fine. But now we must lead. We must lead from. but most importantly, we must pole vault. That is the dimensional change we must make. Then while I was writing the book, and Ravi Pandit, somebody asked me, "Hey, Baba, you will pole vault, but how do you make sure you don't break your back? How do you assure success?" And that is where chapter 3 of the book, by the way, talks about the assured innovation framework, where there are certain criteria that are a must. First, it must be affordable, scalable, sustainable, universal, that means user-friendly, rapid, and excellent in terms of technology, the cutting-edge technology, and finally distinctive. These are the parameters. Now, each one of them, by the way, can be quantified or described in a semi-quantitative way or a qualitative way, and they become important. Like, for example, if you look at the assured matrix and Jio, was it affordable? Yes. Voice was free, 4 rupees per GB, that's the cheapest. Was it scalable? Yes. Today they have 400 million customers and fastest. Is it sustainable? Yes. Sustainable in terms of economic model, environmental, and so many others. They are. Is it universal? Yes. Look at these two ladies. Both of them are able to use it. Was it rapid? Yes. 83 days. Fastest in the world. Was it excellence in terms of technology? Yes. 4G LTE was the latest. And now, of course, they are going into 5G. And was it distinctive? Yes, of course. It had all the features. So therefore, this matrix, as a matter of fact, this spider web diagram becomes critical in innovations. And look at Google, for example. They have been greatly successful, but when they brought Google Glass, it was distinctive, it was excellent. But was it affordable? No. Was it scalable? No. Not sustainable, not user-friendly, because people were always suspicious. When you are wearing a Google Glass, as to what are you copying? You might enter a movie theater and maybe you are copying the movie. Was it rapid? No. And therefore it was a failure. So what we have done in the book is that technologies or enterprises that were successful at a point in time, all right, we have looked at them in the assured framework, basically. And you can quite clearly see that many of them which are successful are not successful. Why I'm mentioning this is that very important to move from mind to marketplace. All right. How do you do that? There you require assured framework. But having been in the marketplace, to stay there also require assured framework. Take, for example, Napster. It was free downloading of movies, right? Free, so it was affordable. Scalable, yes, it had 80 million customers. But do they exist today? They don't. Why? Because the society did not accept it. Society of musicians, they said you can't sort of download our music free. And they were gone. BlackBerry, I think some of the older audience here would know BlackBerry. It was 50 million sort of customers. And it doesn't exist today because it did not remain distinctive. Because when touch came, they were still sticking to the keyboard and they vanished. So I think there is a lesson in all this, and assured framework is becoming very critical. I introduced it when I was chairing the Swachh Bharat committee, the standing committee on drinking water and sanitation, because the government, after our Honorable Prime Minister had talked about Swachh Bharat, they were keen to have the best of technology from around the world. Now, you can't just smell a technology and say it's good. We wanted a quantitative framework. So you will find that drinking water and sanitation were the first ones to introduce the assured framework. And if you go to their website now, you will find that you will have to fill up on the assured framework all the details before the screening is done. And then, of course, it has moved to research institutes. They are using it for technology evaluation, etc. Startups are using it to do an analysis. In fact, there are, by the way, T-shirts where "Are you sure you are assured?" That kind of thing. SMEs are using it. Corporates are using it. Very proud. TCS is using it. KPIT, the Switzerland firm, Living Guard. Then investors are using it as a funding decision tool. Innovation accelerators in GeoGenNext, industry association. In fact, Bombay Management Association has created an award called Assured Enterprise of the Year. And last year it won the Byju's won the award. In national awards, they are being used like Earthcare Awards and Marico and so on and so forth. So I'm very happy to see, because see, at the end, you can sell the book. That's not an idea. Idea is to sell the idea. And if it gets implemented, so I'm feel very satisfied that not only it won the Business Book of the Year for 2019, but it has given us a framework. And that framework, according to me, is very critical. The last part of my talk, I talk about positioning universities. You know, we had the Bohr's quadrant where quest for fundamental understanding was all. We had Edison's quadrant where application of knowledge is all that matter. I mean, he tried 10,000 filaments before. But then Pasteur, who combined science as well as innovation together, that has to be the model. And you can see somebody like George Whitesides was a member of Reliance Innovation Council, by the way. He's the most cited scientist in the world. His H-index approach is something like 200, almost twice the best that India has. But he's a co-founder of 12 companies with a combined market capitalization of over $30 billion, all these sort of companies. So, you know, we do Saraswati Puja, we do Lakshmi Puja, but this route from Saraswati to Lakshmi is very important. And therefore, you find that actually we honored him with, you know, our honorary doctorate. Look at Nobel laureates, for example. Nobel laureates are supposed to do cutting edge science, but look at John Merrill, look at Bob Grubbs. For example, Bob Grubbs, he won the Nobel Prize, of course, for this Grubbs metathesis catalyst, but he has startup companies. You look at John Merrill, the Nobel laureate. I'm very proud. Again, he's an ICT alumnus. He set up sort of startups and so on. I think the central point, therefore, I want to make is that one has to look at this route from Saraswati to Lakshmi in India. The last part is we are looking at building new engineers. So globally, what people feel engineering can achieve in the next 20 years was a survey that was done. And at the top of the ladder was improving renewable energy, advancing computer technologies, improving healthcare, or addressing several challenges, climate change, etc. And the last one was addressing social inequality. I'm sorry, they're wrong. I disagree with this. In fact, this has to be at the top of the ladder. Because what we have seen now is increasing inequalities around the world, actually, you know, and pandemic has created absolutely havoc. You have seen those terrible images of migrant labor walking to their villages, pregnant women, old people, children, all right? And wave one and then wave two has pushed. In fact, World Bank estimate shows that more than 100 million people have been pushed below the poverty line. And therefore, inequalities have increased. And therefore, how do you deal with this? According to me, the first challenge. And that is where this Gandhian engineering comes in. I remember I was honored with the Australian Technology, Science, Engineering Academy's fellowship. And that was the time I talked about Gandhian engineering. And I told them that you look, no computer engineering, you know, chemical engineering. Let me tell you about Gandhian engineering. And that Gandhian engineering was based on the inspiration from two things. First was Mahatma Gandhi had said, Earth provides enough to satisfy every man's need, but not every man's greed. Let me get more from less. Use your exhaustible resources carefully so that your great-grandchildren, their great-grandchildren will have it. And the second was, I would prize every invention of science made for the benefit for all. Okay. Now, this Gandhian engineering, therefore, is getting more performance from less resource for more and more people. And it got to be known as MLM, by the way, more from less for more. And the magic that we wanted to create was creating, despite income inequality, ensuring access equality. Now, looks like a dream. No, but this is what you see. All right. Their income inequality is 1,000:1, but their access equality is 1:1. That magic could be created. So we need that magic, and more from less for more. You can see India. high quality hepatitis B vaccine, 40 times cheaper, not 40% by the way. Shanta Biotech when it did it. And you say, how is it high quality? Well, 40% of UNICEF supply is that. You look at high quality cataract eye surgery, Arvind Eye Care, 100 times cheaper, not $3,000, $30. Okay. And it is completely workflow innovation, using the McDonald kind of assembly line, distributing the work, and so on and so forth. Look at high quality open heart surgery, Narayan Rudalaya, 20 times cheaper, not 20%. And quality is as good as the New York surgeons. And of course, high quality artificial food. I will come back to that a little later. So these are not dreams. This is entirely possible. We can do that. Now, the MLM mantra, spreading the word, there is something crazy about me. I remember when I was in polymers, and Pramodji, you will be interested in hearing this, that in 1 year, I gave 34 lectures on polymers. And Dr. Mohan Rao, Guruji, when he was, I remember he introduced me as Polymerkar, okay, because I was so crazy after that. Then I became crazy after this, more from less for more, and see, it started going around the world. This particular paper that we wrote together, C.K. Prahlad, this was his last paper. It finds the place among the 10 most read papers in innovation today. And World Economic Forum had within 6 sort of months of forum on more from less for more, because to create an equitable world, this becomes important. Doing well and doing good, doing well by doing good. And then, of course, I had the TED talk, which has been now translated into 23 languages. And I spread the message MLM around the world. First was Canberra, where I gave this talk. Second, there are several places. New York, by the way, was the last one where this Nobel Laureate Summit, which was held 3 months ago, I talked about it. But interestingly, early enough, I talked about that in Washington, where we talked about not more from less for more, but inclusive innovation and so on. And they created a $55 million World Bank project in Vietnam. I remember going to Asian Development Bank. I was invited there to speak. There is a particular honor lecture that they'd asked me to do. I talked there, and they introduced this more from less for more. I remember going to Europe. Brussels, I was invited. The European Union, there were 2,000 European people. The European Commissioner had invited me, and I remember talking about this, and they introduced that as a frugal innovation in the Horizon 2020 program, because they said otherwise we lose competitiveness. Beijing, I remember, China is so much ahead of us, but when it came to inclusive innovation 10 years ago, you can go to the website and see this particular report. I was a consultant there. And why were they interested? They were interested because of the social disharmony that was coming up. Because China, you see what they want you to see. But when you go there, you see something different, which is the vast difference between the poor and the rich and so on and so forth, and social disharmony. So Beijing adopted it. There are several other places where I spoke. Tokyo, by the way, 2 years ago, before the G20 meeting, this was an issue they took up. Colombo, Cape Town, Pretoria, Medellin, this word Industrial Technology Research Organization, they spoke, and so on. So I think the point is this message has spread around, and that's very important. But then maybe you will say, that is all fine, but what are you doing yourself? Well, I must say my CSR has been busy exactly doing that, but I thought we'll do something sort of personal. So in my mother's name, we created this Anjani Mashelkar Inclusive Innovation Award. And this is not best practice, but the next practice. And that is in the MLM way. How do you create something which is affordable, accessible, and acceptable? And I'll just give you a couple of samples of what we did, like this Mishkin Ingawale for Touch SB. You can see Anu Aga giving this particular award. And this was not best practice, but next practice, because he found that when he goes to villages, he finds women dying out of anemia. And why? Because lower hemoglobin levels are not detected. Why? Because they think blood is precious, they don't give it. So he said, forget about it. I will not take the blood. Not invasive with needles, but non-invasive, no needles. Cost per test, 150 rupees, no, 10 rupees. And what he did, Touch HB, was just with the touch you can get it. And now, of course, there is a new version, which is here, where you don't even use a finger, but it captures the picture of conjunctiva and uses the method of reflectance photometry. That means just look at your eye. Now, the point I'm trying to make here is very important. Look at this. He used high technology, photoplethysmography, spectrophotometry, advanced software, photon scattering. Making high technology work for the rich, very easy. Making low technology work for the poor, very easy. Yeah, he is making high technology work for the poor. That is the essence of what India needs to do. You look at Rahul Rastogi, for example, the Sanket ECG device that he created. Again, Sanket 1.0, you can see it here. And Sanket was a portable ECG. It's a personal 12-lead ECG event monitor. It is portable, credit card size. Just costs 2,500 rupees. You can buy it on Amazon, by the way. And he has already taken it to 8 countries, 0.2 million. How does it work? I have it here in my hand here. This is something you can buy. You put your 2 fingers, 2 thumbs here for 15 seconds. This is the sensor. This is your heart. So 15 seconds, 15 seconds, 15 seconds up, and 15 seconds down. And what you see here, this Sanket, for example, has been a game changer. Because normally if you want a ECG, you will go lie down and so on and so forth. Okay? No, this is the new one where this Sanket is taken and in this manner you record the ECG. Just think about it now. If there is a woman in a village who has a pain at night, an old woman, she has to be taken ECG, will take her 10 kilometers away. No, you don't have to. You can do it right there. Okay? That is the transformation. That's extremely important. The other one was Mihir Shah, for example, eye-based example. It's a $1 based screening. It is non-invasive, ultra-portable, accurate, minimal training, wireless, cloud-connected, instant results, and so on. Then you will say, oh, they look like good toys, but what are you doing? Are you scaling? Are they going to the rest of the world? Yes, you can see it here. UE Life Sciences and GE Healthcare, they actually signed an agreement, and they are now taking it to 25 countries with over 500 million views. So Indian innovation is making a difference all around the world. The last one I want to show you is, so last year what I did, this is the 11th year of the Anjani MASHELKAR Award. Last year, I gave 2 awards. One for someone who had done something spectacular in COVID, and someone, which was a normal one. In the COVID category, you can just see in what conditions we were. Los Angeles, this is a news item from Los Angeles. It says, the situation here is very dire. Every minute, 10 people test positive for COVID-19. Every 8 minutes, somebody dies. Ambulance circle for hours, etc. Running out of ICU, running out of. This was Los Angeles. It is not just India. Please understand that. Okay. And in April, of course, we had these Delhi hospitals running out of ICU beds, and I don't have to describe to you what happened. So, what is the solution? This is the solution. Anjani MASHELKAR Inclusive Innovation Award 2020. Mudit created a step-down ICU where you can convert a bed into a step-down ICU in few minutes. So this is a continuous contact-free vitals monitor, 10 times cheaper than the products used in ICU. No maintenance, consumables pass. So how does it work? So it is an IoT sensor-based system which you push under the bed, basically, under the mattress, and connect to SpO2 and thermometer, and actually connect to internet, and you can monitor it. So what it means is that there are 7 parameters with 98.4% medical accuracy. 7 parameters that you can measure, and that too remotely. So you can do care at home or ward monitoring. Okay. And you saw in the wave 2, for example, what Mudit Dandaute has been able to do is to spread it across India. And actually, he has converted 4,000 plus beds. 10,000 patients have been monitored. Now, one of the things that happened was we ran out of doctors and nurses, basically. Now here, one nurse normally can deal with 10 patients. Here, she can deal with 100 patients. Most importantly, there is a high technology, artificial intelligence, AI. So you are not only able to monitor, but predict what will happen. So in the morning, when the doctors take a roundup, and if there are 100 patients, they go to the 3 or 4 who are predicted to be sort of getting worse. And therefore, they are moved into ICU, and so many lives have been saved. Guruji, there is one thing that sort of worries me, What happens is that we create all these innovations, and then where we get stuck. They're very interesting. When we went to public hospitals and offered that, 1, they did not have budgets. 2, they said, no, we have to have a tendering process. All right. So they couldn't. So you know what we did? We said we'll go to corporate social responsibility, big hearts, like PRAMOD you have. And all these beds, almost all of these beds, I would say 40% of these are through corporate social responsibility. Can you just imagine that, actually? So I think there is something that we need to think about, our innovation on the sort of ecosystem, because without that, the will not be. Now, I'm very happy that now these awards are becoming national awards. Our president giving it in 2018, and this process has now started. I want to end by saying that when the education has to create Gen Next engineers, first of all, they have to be solution engineers. I am on this Queen Elizabeth Prize of Engineering, a £1 million prize, which is considered as a Nobel Prize in engineering. And the very first year that I was there, interviewed me on what is the future of engineering. And I said, not chemical engineering, mechanical engineering, metallurgical engineering, etc. It is solution engineering. That's it. That means, given a problem, whether it's an artificial heart or a breed or whatever, etc., how do you bring different disciplines together and sort of create? Secondly, they have to be whole brain engineers. Innovation, compassion, and passion, that sort of matters, both left side and the right side. They have to be holistic engineers. They have to take a sort of a bigger view of life, which goes beyond the plant to the planet. That is very important. They have to be borderless. In fact, my Danckwerts Memorial Lecture in 1995 was on borderless chemical engineering, as many of you will remember. And finally, they have to be Gandhian engineers. How do we tune our educational systems to doing that is going to be critical. Now, such a Gandhian engineer, I want to show you this particular film of Jaipur Foot, for example. All right. And you can see here his climbing, and just see the flexibility of that particular foot. Just $28, by the way, not $10,000. And he jumps. And when he jumps, it is strong enough to sort of take that impact, take that stress. And now what you will see is the message I want to leave in my final slide. What is the message? You just look at him. He wears this foot and then runs. And he runs in 4 minutes, 30 seconds, 1 kilometer. And normally, if we were having the old norm and we were meeting together, I would have asked how many of you. I mean, but I would ask only the younger population. I will not be unfair to the older population. How many of you can run 1 kilometer in 4 minutes, 30 seconds? What is the message? Normally, when I address and show this film in my inclusive innovation lectures, if there is an audience of 500, when I say how many of you can run 1 kilometer in 4 minutes, 30 seconds, only 1% of the hands go up. 5 people out of 5. What does it mean? What it means is that disability, which is, let's say, poverty, has been eliminated by giving him not a wooden foot, but a foot which is world class, which is able to help him to run 1 kilometer in 4 minutes 30 seconds. What it means is that he is able to beat 99% of us. All right? That is the power of Gandhian. That is the power. And that is the message from India to the whole sort of words. So it is not just doing well and doing good, doing well by doing good. So let me end by saying that I have talked about education, research, and innovation, and the new paradigms that are coming up in education, research, and innovation. And what is most important for India is not just to crawl or walk or run or leapfrog, but pole vault to a great new future. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I, on behalf of Institute of Chemical Technology, ICT-IOCB Bhubaneswar, Khosla Profile Private Limited, and the entire crew of education, research, and industry, and my own behalf, would like to extend a very heartfelt vote of thanks to Dr. Raghunath Anant Mashelkar. Thank you, sir, for addressing this day and also, providing us with a special formula that education is equal to future and how education, research, and innovation can be responsible in the context of human cognitive enhancement. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I must mention our deep sense of appreciation for Professor M.M. Sharma, former director UDCT, Professor J.B. Joshi, former director ICT, Professor Rajakumar, director of IIT Bhubaneswar, Professor G.D. Yadav, former director ICT, and Professor Suhas Pednekar, Vice Chancellor of Mumbai University, Professor D.T. Shirke, Vice Chancellor Shivaji University, Sri Ashwin Shroff, Excel Industries, Sri Ravi Kapoor, UBAC, Mr. Robert Stanich, MD, Andres, Finland, Dr. Satyan Narayana from Laurus Labs, and Sri Ladha, Rajasthan Spinning and Weaving Mill, and several CEOs and CMDs who have joined this gathering. Thank you, sir, for joining us today.
Thank you.
I also wish to express my gratitude and for providing encouragement from Sri Pramod Khosla. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.